Rice, joining the flag salute. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Kate, call roll, please.
Councilmember White. Here. Councilmember Cook.
Here.
Councilmember Fairley.
Here.
Councilmember Osborne. Here. Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
I have no presentations.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Second.
Could we add the Axiom camera contract to the agenda?
Me?
Could we add the Axiom?
I was just gonna make it as part of my report, but if you wanna make it a discussion item, feel free.
That's what I'm asking. Can we add that so we can
Sure.
have it for a second?
Just make a motion that we want to add the action, okay, please.
I'll second.
Okay.
We have a motion and second to add the Axiom camera information to the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Thank you. I make a motion, we approve the agenda as modified.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Passed.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Second.
Have a motion and second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you. Reports, Mr. White?
I have none.
Thank you. Mr. Cook?
No reports this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Fairley?
No report.
Ms. Osborne?
I have none.
Bill? Councilmember Thomas?
Yeah, I got a couple of things here. So, love the flags. I love the flags out there. So does my wife. Glad this time of year they're out. And I just want to raise that up and thank you for that. Another, I'll be attending the Good Eggs breakfast on Wednesday. I believe it's the director of hospitality for the state of Washington. That's good. So anyway, that's what I'll be attending that. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Public Works, John?
Thank you. First item is the bike rodeo. A couple of our public works employees were there. You can see a picture there, the mayor. They're making hot dogs. I was not there, but my understanding is they raffled 6 bicycles and a number of helmets were given out. I think the chief could probably provide a better update for that. Water store. Did you want to do that?
No, wait. Go ahead,
Okay.
knock yourself up.
Yeah, water storage. I've been talking to the city of Auburn. They're going to draft an ILA for 170,000 gallons of water storage. They're looking for about $1 million for that. They will also provide us with a letter of support for a loan application, Department of Health and or Public Works Board. The Public Works Board and Department of Health, they're charging 2.25%. City of Auburn also offered us a loan package depending on how many years, between 4.34% and 4.82%. At 20 years, that would be $78,000 a year. If we did it with the Department of Health, it would be about $62,000 a year because of the lower interest rate. The table here gives you this is from the City of Auburn, number of years, for example, 5, 10, 15, and 20, and the corresponding annual payments averaging anywhere from $220,000 to $78,000 a year. Wetland preservation project contract's been signed by the mayor. We're still waiting for an HPA for the to notch out the beaver dam that's there so we can lower the water level. We've got the request in, and hopefully within the next week or two, we'll be seeing HPA for that. I think everyone's aware that there was some streetlights that were vandalized back in 2017. I've been working with the insurance adjuster. We had received two quotes from two different electricians, one at $100,000, one at $67,000, and the insurance will probably cover close to $60,000 of that $67,000, less any depreciation on copper wires. And there's not much depreciation, I don't think, on copper wires, so it should be fairly close to that. The sewer system, the CCTVing of that, we're going to have a kickoff on June 24th, as long as council approves it on the last council meeting of June. And we're still waiting for some documentation and bond information. Next page over, under truck signs, I met with the Public Works Director for City of Pacific. We're talking about the potential of putting up some signs. I give you an example of what it could look like. So this would be on Ellingston. So it would stop the truck traffic from turning, because once they're turned, they're pretty committed of having to go through. Some miscellaneous items. We had a sewer backup on Clay Street. It was pretty bad, but that was all jetted last week. We're mowing, we'll be mowing the north fields there on Boundary Boulevard. You can see in the lower left-hand corner, Dean is standing there. The grass is 7 feet tall. All the catch basins on Ellingston have been cleaned. Ellingston has been flailed. We're going to be doing West Valley Highway starting tomorrow. It'll take a couple days. We installed a water meter on Clay Street, and we'll be doing 2 more at the hotel. And then code enforcement had action items on 7 properties. Letters went out for that. We still have a lot of things to do this year. The flood control plan hopefully will get approved on June 23rd. We're looking at ways to take care of the vegetation along the fence line on the 167 ditch. So we'll be dealing with that on, I think, Wednesday, starting to look at that. We still have storm drain jetting to do this summer, crosswalk striping, and a number of other smaller things like capital replacement for the budget, and installing a catch basin on 4th and Main, and still reviewing the potential for wetland mitigation banking. With that, I open up to any questions you might have.
For the water storage, John, the $997,000, is that a one-time deal, or is that gonna be every 4 years we gotta come up with that?
No, that's a one-time deal. I don't know what else they might throw into that ILA, but we'll have to wait to see the draft. I expect we'll see the draft at the end of this week or beginning of next.
Okay, thank you.
These streetlights, are they still out? Or have we repaired them and now we're just getting?
They're still up.
They're still out.
They're still out. Where's this location
That is right along Boundary Boulevard on the south side of Boundary. So all the warehouses.
And down through that whole back road through Milwaukee and all that area, through the industrial area is out.
Okay. I'm surprised they waited 8 years to talk with us about it. Fix it.
It's only taken John like a month. It's just the previous guy said took it.
We weren't aware of it, and we found it.
Okay.
I have one question on your 7 code enforcement violations. Is one of them a big ugly building on?
I don't think so. It's mostly grass cutting and other things.
Okay. That's all I have.
Any other questions? Chief?
Good evening. There's one on my update, it says 9/9/25. It should be tonight's date, 6/9/25, all on that. I want to start off with personnel changes. Officer Dubois resigned the 17th of last month. He received some extra benefits from the Veterans Administration to go back to school. They're actually giving him a $4,000 a month stipend plus his military retirement, and he's always had the dream of getting a college degree. So he resigned from the PD, and I've checked in with him, and the sergeant checked in with him. He's just taking some time off. Again, he was a retired military guy, did 24 years, and he wanted to get his degree. That being said, we've already moved forward with trying to, replace him. We made a conditional offer of employment to a female who's already been through the academy. She has a master's degree in psychology. I will introduce her at a later date once her background's done, but we've already begun that process. And she's done a couple of ride-alongs and looks like she'll be a great fit for the department. Sticking with the personnel things, I relaxed the rules. Every year I do it in November, but this year I relaxed it earlier. So people could either grow a beard, paint their fingernails, or do both, as long as they donate to Operation Blue Christmas. So I started that a little earlier this year, and one guy's already paid up all the way to December, and one is not too far behind him. So you may see some officers with facial hair. It's totally authorized at this point. We've had a discussion about what that looks like and not to let it get out of control. We have, the last thing personnel-wise, we have 2 people in field training. They're doing great. One's due to be on their own very shortly, and the other one's not too far behind them. The person I spoke about that gave conditional offer, earliest we could probably get her going, depending on her background and stuff, it would be June 30th, but it's probably more like the middle of July. So, also fireworks. I, like the mayor, received a few phone calls over the weekend. I just want to remind everyone, the Muckleshoot, after June 1st, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, they allow people to set off fireworks in that vacant lot, and they go crazy. Auburn received, I counted on CAD, 10 calls. We received 3 911 calls, but it's in the city of Auburn. Not much we can do. It's up on the reservation. They put off so many fireworks, it does look like it's right in the middle of town. But it's that time of year.
Yeah, we hear some really close, like they're right up on top of this.
Yeah. So also with that, it's our 4th year, no fireworks. We will zero tolerance. We're not going to be officer friendly on this. It's going to be a dry year, worse than it was last year. So this is my chance to say to the public, we'll also be doing some education on social media and pushing out, but we are going to enforce the letter of the law when it comes to the city's fireworks ban. In fact, I'm working on creating a pamphlet. My guys can start pushing out there now. Maybe we'll get it in the water bill, those kind of things. Bike rodeo, John is correct. I want to thank everyone that participated. I also want to recognize Kari, Community Center Gary. We have 2 Garys, PD Gary and Community Center Gary. I want to recognize Community Center Gary. I also want to recognize Specialist Nash. She stepped up the course, took the course on herself. She had a lot of enthusiasm. We gave away about 75 helmets, 6 bikes. I also want to acknowledge the Public Works crew that helped in. It was all a team effort, and it went off as it was intended, as a little street fair. So I'm really proud of the crew, and I just want to acknowledge everybody that took part in it. I'll skip the Axon part of my report since now it's a discussion item. Training and refocusing on community outreach. This last week, I attended the PLECET training in Chicago, Illinois. PLECT training stands for Professional Law Enforcement Community Engagement Training. This is the 2nd year I've attended. The first year I was totally scholarship by the Department of Justice. And then this year I had to pay my way, but it was well worth it. I spent the first couple of days going over community engagement and crisis management. They had speakers from the Sacramento police chief talking about dealing with an OIS to small town police chiefs talking about that preventive maintenance. The second part of the training that I attended was all about funding sources and community, both public and private partnerships. Got some good resources there, which leads me to the backside of this section in my report. And that is, I don't want to get ahead of you, boss, but I'm going to ask for funding through the federal government, through the Office of Violence Against Women Prevention, National Office. They have some funding available that no one's taken advantage of yet, so they re-announce it. And I'm going to ask them to help fund regenerating the Domestic Violence Task Force. I don't think we're going to ask our partners to the south to be part of it at this time. I think I want to keep it focused on just Algona. And the mayor's going to have more about that, and when he talks. But I think it's a good timing. We'd love to bring back our Purple Light Night event and really bring back the focus on domestic violence prevention. And I think that's it. Oh, excuse me. The court date, or the court ILA update. One of the reasons I did not bring it forward at the they changed the meeting date to today, and so we had some updated information. Basically, it's on hold for 30 days. The court is of the mind that this is a technical change and that it does not have to go back through county council. There was some objection from the contract cities, the biggest one being Bellevue. I believe, along with Bellevue, that it's not a technical change, that this is a substantial change. And just for background, as I stated last council meeting, probation services that used to be included, now they want to charge for those fees. I have that fee schedule. I sent it to Tara, I sent it to Zach. I'm asking Tara to do a cost benefit analysis like I promised, to say, hey, what is that price point where it's time for us to walk away from district court and do our own thing, because the cost is becoming prohibitive. So we meet with Tara on the 16th, correct? I sent that information to her last week. She's working on it, and we'll have a conversation. Zach, the contract's pretty straightforward. I personally believe, I've not briefed Zach on what I learned today, but I think this should go through county council. I think this should go through this council. I think this is a substantial change, and trying to make this just a technical change and trying to go under the radar is not in the best interest of the community. So other than that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Chief. City Administrator.
All right. The transfer station work, you may recall last summer they had to reschedule their work on the culvert. That time is coming. So June 20th, so starting 7 p.m. June 20th through Monday, June 23rd, West Valley will be completely shut down. This work is necessary for getting the utilities across the road, and coordinating has been a huge effort with all the, Ziply, Comcast, Centric, you name it, they're all involved, PSE, all of them. So this is a big deal. We're excited to finally get that punched through and done, so then the transfer station can continue with finishing that West Valley work. Phase 3 of the wetland preserve, they're going to start work next week, it sounds like. They'll do some of the prep work so they can begin construction in July. I believe that's when that HPA kicks in. Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, I know fishery's been really swamped with HPA, so
Yeah.
hopefully. But
So they're going to start the site work though, just for the water reason. There's a lot of water that they need to start dewatering. So they are going to start that shortly. Events, Chief and John touched on the bike rodeo. Again, huge effort by police department. Tari did a great job with Ashley, and turned out great. I wasn't able to attend either, but I keep hearing raving reviews. So. Juneteenth is coming up. We're going to do it June 20th in the Matchett Park. Sounds like there will be hot dogs and drinks, and thank you, Councilmember White, for putting that together. Right after that, we'll have Finding Nemo for a movie night in June. Color Run is coming up June 21st, that same weekend. This is the first time we've done this before. It's through the Get Active, Stay Active grant. We're excited to see if this will be a successful thing that we can do on an annual basis. Our community center. I did the numbers today. So far this year, we've brought in $12,000 through renting the community center. It's just been great. Tara will be here, as Chief said, next week. I'd like for her to present to the Finance Committee the annual report that's been submitted for 2024. And then Gary, he's generously agreed to mowing the parks while we're down a utility worker. So we're excited to get that extra help out for the guys so they can focus on some of these bigger projects. Any questions?
Yeah, forgive me, I might have missed it with that HPA. Is this gonna be putting in that fish, three-sided culvert across West Valley, or is that gonna be another closure?
That's for the skirts project. The HPA we're talking about is for the wetland preserve.
Okay,
And so we have to transfer it from the city's name to the contractor's name, and that takes.
so this closure that you're talking about,
Yeah.
That's hers.
is that the culvert that's going across?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I think you said utilities, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
What, I have a question, what's a color run?
So I can't remember what it's made of, but it's like cornstarch or something they throw in the air that's colored, and you just wear white and you run through it, and it makes your t-shirt colorful.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I was fortunate enough to attend the bike rodeo, and there was a lot of kids there. We cooked a lot of hot dogs. The setup for the testing, or I don't know, the track, I don't know the proper terminology for it, was just absolutely wonderful. It was organized, it was clean, the officers were out there, just everybody had a really good time. And so, and we were fortunate that we could get the number of likes that we got. And I will give Fred Meyer credit, they gave us an extra 30% off, plus the 10. When we first went in there, I thought we were gonna get 4 bikes, we ended up getting 6. So we had some very excited kids, able to help people out. Chief mentioned the task force. I was involved in the DB task force before, and we're excited to get it going again. We need it here in the city, and so I'm working with a couple groups and the chief to get this started. We'll start asking for volunteers. Ryan not going to run it, so I'm going to be looking for to put a committee together of people to run the DB task force. But I'd like to have that set up by August. That's my goal. The last thing I want to talk about is, as everybody's aware, some concerns have been recently been raised regarding the proposed middle housing ordinance, specifically in relationship to the parking space use provision set forth in AMC 22.40.040C. That code section provides as follows: parking spaces shall be used for automobile parking only, with no sales, dead storage, repair work, dismantling of any kind. And there's been a lot of conversations around town, on Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. The pre-existing language that is already contained in the city's code, the proposed middle housing ordinance does not amend. In practice, the city's enforcement of the zoning regulations generally follows a complaint-based approach. The city typically does not actively seek out zoning code violations to enforce. Instead, the city most often resorts to enforcement only when it becomes aware of a particular violation, often through a complaint raised by a neighboring property owner. It is also the city's general practice to attempt to secure compliance through voluntary cooperation rather than formal enforcement proceeding. To my knowledge, the city has never had occasion to pursue formal enforcement of AMC 22.40.040 as long as I've been mayor. And again, the proposed middle housing ordinance does not operate to change either the provisions of that subsection of the city's enforcement approach. I hope this clarifies the issue and alleviates any concerns. Vice participation. The city council encourages public participation during meetings of the city council and welcomes your comments. This time is set aside for you to speak to the city council on any issue. The council ordinarily takes non-agenda matters under advisement before taking action. You are also invited to comment on action items as they are considered during the meeting. Individual speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each in addressing the city council. When addressing the council, please speak clearly, audibly, and state your name and address for the record.
Chris Gomez, 527 Main Street.
Yes, sir.
I think it was about a year ago, a little less, that I asked when they were going to be testing the water for PFAS in the Algona water, and they said they were going to be doing that shortly, and I haven't seen a result if there is any in our water, and what is Algona going to do to eliminate that issue?
Great question. I think that's a good one for John to check in with Ingrid at
Because now they've contributed that chemical in the water causing kidney cancer. That's one of the factors. So I want to know if our water is polluted, what's all we're going to do about it.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I will reach out to the Public Works Director and see if they've tested for PFAS, and then I can report back to the council.
And the other question you might be able to answer, John, is I have a neighbor who's behind me, and their water line runs through my middle of my yard to their property. So if there's ever an issue of that water line bursting, and the city doesn't catch it in time because we haven't got the new system that you're looking to put in, and it happens to create a sinkhole in my yard and takes my house out or any part of my property, who's going to be responsible for that?
I'm sorry, I don't have an answer to that. If you'd like, I'd come out and take a look.
Well, it's already been addressed once before, and before you were hired, and I'm still waiting to hear back from that. I'm kind of amazed that there's actual water line that's feeding Algona Boulevard from Main Street, but
like I say, if you'd like, I'd come out and take a look and try to get an understanding what's going on. I've never heard of this before, obviously.
I think it was addressed before you were hired.
Yeah.
The other question is this agenda bill AB 250175. It's to do a study on storm drain. And what is the study for? It says for rates. Is it to see if our system's inadequate, or is it to see what we can charge the public to make things?
It's like a 6-year financial plan for capital improvements, maintenance requirements. Make sure that we have enough money in the fund to pay for those services.
Okay.
And it also helps with grants and loan scoring when we go after different types of grants.
I was just curious because in the last 3 years we've had a big rate increase every year to year. So I'm just thinking now we're looking at paying a firm the $50,000 to come out and invest see what our pipes and plumbing looks like now. So I was just kind of wondering how that.
Right. The City of Auburn also just increases rates, and we have to pay them for whatever they put forward as well.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
And this is to you, Mayor. And since you're in great contact with both mayors, south and north of us, when are they going to fix their streets so we don't have to keep having our cars realigned because the potholes are so terrible?
I think that same question every time I get off the freeway out there on 15 Southwest.
Try getting on the freeway at Ellingston right
No,
there.
I'd say when I do.
I know, and they don't even make an attempt to put asphalt in, they just let it get worse, and since I do community service and drive a community car, I imagine that car's getting beat up going out that way all the time. So.
I will be with both of them tomorrow afternoon, and I will be glad to make a mention of that.
Okay, I was thinking that, I remember you saying something about they were talking about paving at the same time we were doing ours. And apparently they couldn't
No,
figure it out.
Pacific decided they couldn't do it this year.
Okay.
It's been on the Pacific line as far as Nancy Backus and Auburn, I couldn't tell you what their plans were.
I mean, they're making an effort by patching the little deep holes, but they don't even fix the problem. They need to
There's
do
one
that.
on O Street that's right in the middle of the road.
And then the other thing is because, is the county responsible for that? Because they're running overweight containers and their trash trucks over that highway from the transfer station to the on and off ramps of one
The
sixty-seven.
only thing they're responsible for is out in front of the transfer station.
Okay, because I mean, they're basically tearing up the roadway with their heavy trucks going in and out. So I was just wondering if they're gonna, maybe go out to see, talk to the county, see if we can get some money from that.
The one thing that we did negotiate with the new transfer station, in the contract, there's 10 years of road maintenance from King County, they'll take care of the West Valley.
But that's just in front of their facility, right? Gotcha, thank you.
Good comments, we'll move on to discussion items. Item A is ordinance number 1254-25, Comcast franchise agreement.
All right, so last we left this, we were still waiting for a quote from our IT service on the equipment and what that would look like for a peg fee. The chief has an update.
Yes, so the equipment, it should be coming forthright. The last piece of that equipment thing was making contact with a data center. That contact has been made and they're in the process of finalizing a quote. Just so you know, the data center, we're trying to move everything offsite into the cloud. In order to do that, you have to have a government data center where you're going to store the cloud, a government cloud. And so the state of Washington has set up data centers for small jurisdictions. It's called the Washington Data Center. Anyway, big acronym. That being said, that's getting finished up this week, and we should have exact numbers by the end of this week. And Jessica and I also have a meeting with the IT consultant, and this is on the agenda.
Any other questions or comments? Move on to item B, which is the FCS utility rate study agreement.
Yeah, thank you. So we're proposing to move ahead with a rate study for sewer, water, and storm. It's a 6-year financial plan for each of the utilities to make sure that we can adequately fund our operating capital costs going forward, which includes any capital projects. It helps, as I mentioned, with grant loan scoring. It also provides some transparency to the public on how the rates are obtained. And it's also helps with the state filing and disclosure. This is the second reading, and the contract price is $50,355.
Anybody have any questions? Move on to resolution, or C, resolution 1298-25, awarding the sanitary sewer evaluation project bid.
Thank you. So we received 3 different bids for closed circuit television on the sewer system. It's regulatory compliance that the city is being proactive in maintaining its collection system. It'll pinpoint any infiltration and problems with the sewer line. Again, it also will help with providing information to the rate study to make sure that if we have some problems that it can be included in that, so we can have, if we need to replace lines and so forth going into the future. The $215,000 is substantially less than what the engineering estimate was at $276,000, And the first bid that was not approved was $380,000. So this is a very good rate for us.
Any questions?
And the funding of this is coming out of the sewer fund?
Yes, correct. I believe $300,000 was budgeted for that.
Any other questions? Thank you. Item D is Algona Police Officers Association 2026 through 2029 collective bargaining agreement.
Yes, nothing's changed from, this is second reading. This is the collective bargaining agreement between the uniformed officers and the city. We started negotiations back in January. We concluded them in May. The officers have voted and ratified this contract. The highlights are in the agenda bill, but it keeps the COLA to 3.5 for all 3 years of the contract at a set fee or a set scale of 3.5. It also clarifies language around education incentives, and the education incentives in there match the coalition education incentives. I've worked hand in hand with Miss Jessica and Miss Tara, and we come to an agreement that we can afford, and the officers are happy, and this is second touch.
Any questions? Item E is the meter reading system upgrade.
All right, so what the plan is to have a software system that can automatically capture the flow usage from all the residents. It will allow us to detect leaks. It will provide us with different consumption rates, alarms, and able to have the customer track their own amount of water that they're using. This does not allow us to shut off the meters because our meters are not the correct ones on here. However, this is would be a first phase of a two-phase strategy. The meters that we have currently, they're going to need to be replaced within the next few years. They're more than 10 years old. They generally last 10 to 15 years before replacement. They suffer from 3 to 5% unregistered of water flows. So their accuracy is going down over time. The new ones, they don't have the same issue with that. So they would be, they would last quite a bit longer. So this, you have to look at this just as the first phase of a two-phase longer-term strategy. We need to start somewhere. The meters themselves, when we replace them, will be approximately $550 each, plus install, some of which we can obviously do as well. I don't know if I explained it very well.
Does that automatic leak?
Yes.
Does that automatically shut off the house if it's leaking?
Not until we replace the meters that have automatic shut-off.
That's what the plan is.
Yes, that's the plan. So it will detect leaks, and so we would be able to send somebody out and shut it off or come take a look.
Like if it's leaking in the house somewhere, it would shut off?
It can't shut off until we replace the meters themselves too. We have to have the magnetic shut-off meters.
I understand that. But I mean, that's to shut off the house if the house is leaking and
correct.
somebody's not around.
Yeah.
It would alert staff. So if there's high usage, staff would see that
Yeah.
it's high for, so staff would turn it off.
Is there any other questions?
Yeah, these replacement meters, that's not gonna go to direct rate increases or anything, correct?
It would be part.
Out of the capital fund.
Well, we would have money set aside in the capital fund now for some of that, for
Yeah,
sure.
but this was gonna be directly relating to any kind of rate increase that is already currently in place.
I don't see it right now. We don't have, the total capital fund or the capital for the meters. We would have to, look at the number of meters that we have, the total cost, what the savings are in terms of labor for not having to go shut off meters each time, because we could automatically do that. The meters that we currently have are probably under reading, so we're probably losing 5% there as well. The new meters, we'll be looking at grants and low interest loans for those, just like we are for the water tank or water storage. I don't have a 100% specific answer for you right now, sorry.
Thanks.
So on those meters, is that something that when we start, we have to do all 1,000 of them, or can we do 250 this year, 250 next year?
Correct, yeah.
How will that affect the software?
Good question. I don't believe it should affect anything. We should be able to target those particular meters, the ones that we replace. So it might be a 4-year program.
And then we can add, since we got building going on, we add more meters to the system we're buying doesn't pop out at 1,000
No,
meters.
no, not at all.
We end up with 1,500 meters. We
Yep.
don't have to upgrade the system at all.
No.
Okay.
And the new meters are going to remain accurate for much longer as well. They don't seem to have the same issue as the ones that we have now.
The little plastic propellers wear out.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Current item F, which is the comprehensive flood hazard management plan.
So Gray and Osborne just updated the comprehensive flood management plan, but the only thing they've changed is the properties that are most at peril. So if we ever want to look at having to buy certain properties, they have a priority list on that. The final reading will come next council meeting, and we'll make sure that you have a copy beforehand.
Any questions? Item G is purchase and sale agreement for 3511th Avenue North.
So what I did is provided you with a sheet of paper there showing the property that's being flooded. And in the corner there, I've got an arrow drawn, it's 3511th. If you turn that paper over, on the kind of the upper left-hand side, it shows the property that we would be acquiring. And that yellow line represents new or improved berm. So we would increase the berm there so that it doesn't leave this 167 ditch. And we would put a pump station right where that house is now and pump that water into the ditch. And so we should be able to maintain a fairly dry area instead of having this all flooded. And with the upgraded berm, it would force that water into the 400 ponds. That is why we are proposing buying this piece of property.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you want to know, but the house that's on 3rd Avenue and Seattle Boulevard, in the winter it floods the lot. It needs a pipe under the road to the ditch.
Okay, so it's 3rd Avenue North or 3rd Avenue South?
3rd Avenue South in Algona and Seattle Boulevard.
Is that your lot or your neighbor's?
It's 3 houses or so from mine. It's on the corner there and it's for sale right now. It's right on the corner. It's been brand new painted and they just remodeled it a couple months ago. That front yard's flooded every, all it needs is a pipe from the yard to that ditch on the other side of the road.
Okay. You don't have a specific address, do you?
I do.
Okay.
I know where it's at.
It's right on the corner. It has a green cyclone, green cloth on the cyclone fence.
Yeah, I know where it's at.
If you need to get
Their front yard's floods.
if you need to get a hold. Thank you for letting us know. We're planning on making some of those changes before the before we start seeing rain again.
But it's not a great big project because there is a ditch on the other side of the road.
Yeah, no, that's good. Anything we can do.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Item H, you added another line item, discussion item H is Axiom.
All right, thank you. If we can refer back to the document I prepared for the study session. And thank you, Councilmember Cook, for adding this to the agenda for me, and this will be counted as second touch. As I talked about in the study session, Algona's had one of the first agencies in the valley to have body-worn cameras. We initially signed a 5-year deal because that was the longest deal we could make, and the contract is coming due in the end of August. And so over the past couple of months, I've been negotiating a new contract with Axon. You have the financials there. I'll go over it. I'll be brief. Each year it's broken down by year, but long story short, the length of the contract is 10 years for a total amount of $185,324.42. We will be saving because we went to a 10-year contract at the rates we negotiated, an average of $2,592.47 for a total savings of the term of the contract, $26,140.74. The new that also includes 5 sets of new cameras. And we will be getting the unlimited storage for the video. And as I talked about, we'll be one of the first agencies here in King County to be using the translation. Our cameras will be able to translate. It does over 800 languages or dialects. It recognizes it, puts it back into English. The officer can then push the translation button, speak into it, and it will push it out in the appropriate language to the person they're communicating with. Really crazy, but it works. I've watched it in person. And so we'll be the first ones to do that. If we're able to do that, we'll have some savings by getting rid of the language line, because right now we pay a flat fee per month plus so many cents a minute to use the language line to have an interpreter. That'll eliminate that. I also think that it will eliminate a barrier of communication with our communities, because we are a very diverse community, even though we're small. So I'm really looking forward to that feature. Again, this will be second touch. The reason being, I did it in the study session. I asked the council to bring forward in the first session. I have to have a contract in place by the end of July, or the city is going to have to pay some extra money because that 30 days in between August and July, they would charge us an astronomical amount to use their service. But if we have a contract in place, we won't. So I'm just trying to save some money. Other than that, I'll stand for any questions.
Good. See no new business, old business. Item A is law enforcement assisted diversion, which is the LEAD program.
Yes, so this is up for passage tonight. This is the final touch on the contract between us and the state of Washington. And again, I'll just reiterate, we're receiving a certain amount of funds for the next 2 years to provide a law enforcement assisted diversion program with the city of Des Moines. So we're providing the service for both the city of Algona and Des Moines. Both the city of Algona and Des Moines have worked closely. We're paying for part-time, or half of an FTE out of the Burien King County lead office. In fact, Kari and I last week sat in a meeting to go over the RFP. Algona is included. Kari will be on the lead board along with a representative from the King County Sheriff's Department, the King County prosecutor, our prosecutor, Des Moines, the city of Des Moines, and the Des Moines prosecutor. We will pick that person that will solely be working in Des Moines and Algona. For those of you, law enforcement assistant diversion is, and I'm going to do a really brief, is a diversion program where we find somebody, and we've all had these. I've been in law enforcement for 30 years, and we want to teach our cops to solve problems. This is one of those things where we know jail's not the right answer, but if we can get them some help and we have a worker to make sure they get those help, which is what LEAD does, and we keep them out of the criminal justice system, cheaper on us, court costs, prosecutor costs, and we get them to be an active, productive member of society. And so that's what this is, and we're bringing it to Algona.
I make a motion to approve the law enforcement assistant diversion lead program agreement.
Second. I have a motion and second to approve the law enforcement assistant diversion program. Is there any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Pass. Item 12 is ordinances and resolution. Resolution 1299-25, 2025 Transportation Improvement Plan.
I make a motion to approve resolution 1299-25.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second to approve resolution 1299-25, 2025 Transportation Improvement Plan. Is there any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Pass. Item B is ordinance number 1253-25, 2025 budget amendment number 1.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 1253-25.
Second. I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 1253-25, 2025 budget amendment number 1. Is there any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Next workshop.
Court, go through that discussion.
Anything else from good in the order? Any other questions or comments from the audience?
If you decide to get a court for the city of Algona, where it's gonna be.
Right here in the council chambers, I believe.
Might have the old council chambers right in the police department.
It's a gym. You haven't been over there in a while, have you?
No, we remove the gym.
No. No.
Any other questions?